Hill? Was WWF like by WWF so much? I mean, became Yokozuna's manager. Obviously, the Heavenly Bodies are going in and out. Like,
Right.
was that the whole thing? Was he just pulled away too much, or was it that Smoky Mountain's one of like the last real territories, and it was just territory wrestling, just really kaputs at that point?
I think it was a combination, James. You know, you or John. It's never one thing you can point your finger at. It's never one thing. It was a combination of yes. On one, let's when WWE came calling, and people, well, why did he do that? That was a can't win position for him because he's got to get some of his guys up there. He owes that to them for helping him. So,
Right. Yep.
but then they're also giving him exposure. The problem is this guy's already getting run ragged running his own promotion is a ton of work. A ton of work. I can't tell you times I would get phone calls at 2 or 3 in the morning from him. Hey, I need this and this and this and this because he knew I was up. I'm over here working at my house. So he already had all this work on him from Smoky Mountain. And then yes, WWE comes in. And combine that with, if you recall where the state of the industry was in 93 and 94. Okay, we're talking PN News and Stone Cold on the scaffold. We're talking Doink the Clown and Crush.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they've ever done, well, of course, maybe now they have, but at that time, the numbers were brutal. Ratings were horrible. House show attendance was horrible. Bill Watts was running people off in droves. If you recall at that time, WCW literally stopped running house shows because they were losing so much money. If you read the Observer and look for WCW house show results in, say, October of 93, they were running like the Crystal Chandelier, a bar in Kennesaw, Georgia. That was it. So they were not doing well. Vince is getting hauled off to court. He's got, steroid trials and all this other stuff. So he's not doing well. So that you've got combination of the nature of the business not doing well, the overall health of the industry is very, very poor. Jim is getting pulled in way too many directions, but he can't say no to New York because guess what? If they want his guys and he says no, they're going to come take him anyway. Or heaven forbid, Brian Lee found out that they wanted him for the Undertaker and Jimmy said no. Brian would have killed Jimmy. Like
Right.
you screwed up my
Yep.
shot. So he's got to start a working relationship with him. He's just got. Unfortunately, he got on their radar too soon, just too soon. And so that the nature of the business, it was just. And then for us, and I've tried to tell people this before. To me, things started going downhill in the spring of '94. We had this great bluegrass brawl in April. This tremendous show with Ricky and Robert versus Dr. Tom and Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey in a cage. Losing team leaves the territory. And if you've ever seen the finish, it's one of those where you just see the whole crowd erupt. It's amazing. We're in a college gym, about 2,000 people, and you'd swear it's like Madison Square Garden. Well, the problem was after that, okay, now our top heel act is left. And there was no one, literally no one to replace the people we were starting to lose
Mm.
because he'd spent the whole year before building up his baby faces, building up his heels to that crescendo, right? All right, so then we have our big blow off. Well, now you've got to start over because not everybody is a Ricky Morton or a Bullet Bob that can come out to the same town every week for 20 years and get a pop. A lot of these guys have to go away. Well, you look at the overall state of the industry. You have to look at, okay, who can we bring in? Who's not overexposed? Who can we afford? Who's in the area that will work Erlanger, Kentucky at the high school gym in front of 250 bucks on a Friday night? Who's available? There was nobody because again, WCW, what they had decided to do is we're not going to run shows anymore, but we're going to sign everybody to contracts so they don't leave and go to Vince. So Atlanta is paying guys that Jimmy would have loved to have had to stay home. WWE has got their guys locked up because we don't know what's going on with this trial and we may lose the company, we may not. So you're stuck with some of those fringe legends and who like I said again, who will come in and who we can afford. And it was like Tony Atlas and Jake Roberts. I mean, you look at the landscape. There was who's over that will make a difference. Who can we afford? Who will draw a crowd? There was just nobody to replace these guys. So he found Bruiser Bedlam, who had been Johnny K-9, an enhancement guy in New York for years. You know, he found him on a Detroit independent show that he and the Bodies happened to do, and brought him in. But nobody in Tennessee knew who Bruiser Bedlam was, or even Johnny K-9. He'd been off TV for years. So we brought in the Gangstas. Okay, well, nobody knows who New Jack is. We all would soon.
But a little
it,
controversial, yeah.
Right? You know, but in '94, nobody knew who Mustafa and New Jack were. You know, we were stuck with Well Done. And I love Steve and Rex, the Southern Rockers, whatever you want to call them. Great guys. Not the best workers in the world, but I mean, the good guys to have in your locker room. But they had the stigma of, we went to New York for 6 weeks of TV and we were so awful they kicked us back down to the minors. So they weren't moving the needle. Then you bring in Jericho and Storm, who are super duper green. Of course, they would go on to become superstars. But so we just had nobody to bring in, and that just started this awful decline, nosedive in '94.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or